Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have a very exciting day before us because we have a review here of a Vitae figure, and not only a Vitae figure, but a brand new 2020 Vitae figure, which is about the coolest thing possible because Vitae has been gone for quite some time. We have not seen anything new out of them in, oh boy, it's been a long time actually, at least a year, if not longer. So a new Vitae figure is extremely exciting to me, as I am a gigantic fan of Vitae and all of the products that they have released previously, and now they have just come out with a few new figures, and on top of a few new figures, there's also a few new re-releases of older figures with bases, and I actually have each and every one of the new figures here to take a look at with you guys, and I decided to start the reviews off with one of, I think, the most exciting releases here. And this is a species that I actually have never even heard the pronunciation for, so I do apologize in advance if I butcher it, is the Tiantaiosaurus, and it is a species of Therizinosaur, as you could probably tell just by looking at it, and I must say that this thing is gorgeous, absolutely beautiful here in person. I've been kind of scoping out all of the upcoming images of this figure for a few months now, really psyched in anticipation for it, but honestly, the images do not do the figure justice until you see it in person. This is a gorgeous figure of an extremely obscure species. And I must say that I'm really excited that Vitae has released these as a museum series with this really cool kind of window packaging look. I love this packaging. This is definitely an awesome way to release the Vitae figures from this point forward, and you can again see the figure and the base that is included with the figure down there. And then if we turn it around to make the figure even more exciting, look at the gorgeous artwork here on the back. That is just absolutely breathtaking right there. Really just kind of takes you straight into the time that this dinosaur lived and just really brings you into the moment and just shows a beautiful image of this species walking around. And again, I love these boxes. I must say that this is definitely an incredibly awesome touch by Vitae to now release their figures with this box and the beautiful box art and everything. So, again, it's been a long time since we've had a new Vitae figure. I could not be more excited to get this out and take a look at it. So let's open this box up and check out the figure inside. So first of all, we have the base. And before we even bring in the dinosaur, I want to say that this base is just like next level beautiful. This is incredible. And wait till you see the nice closer look with a little bit better light. There's really nice detail included, absolutely beautiful paintwork, and on top of all of that, really cool little fine details like footprints here of other species of dinosaurs, and that is just unbelievably awesome. I am already instantly head over heels in love with the entire thing just by the base, and that does not happen often, trust me when I tell you. And then we have the figure, and right here is our beautiful Tiantaiosaurus, and look at that. The overall diorama is just unbelievably nice. Really beautiful work here on the part of Vitae, and I must say that if you are a dinosaur company planning a comeback, this is how you do it, because this thing is just incredible straight away. So I cannot wait to get a closer look at this figure now fresh out of the packaging. I really want to take a look at what the fine details look like up close, so let's go ahead and get a closer look at it right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt, straight away there is some beautiful texturing to the face of the dinosaur, and you can also see a really nice white coloration that comes down from the upper part of the head and then runs down here onto the beak, and it looks extremely nice. Beautiful nostrils sculpted out right there. You can also see the mouth itself, and the mouth is nicely defined with a darker coloration. Picture perfect paintwork in that area, and you can also see the eye is painted quite beautifully, nice brown coloration and a black pupil. And again, there is some like light feather detail here on the face, and it just looks super nice. Beautiful coloration included here on the faces. It's a nice light tan coloration. If we turn the dinosaur around, take a look at the opposing side. Again, incredible work on both sides. And looking at that eye is really nicely done. It just generally almost looks like it's actually looking at me. It's so beautifully done. Really nice work on the part of Vitae in that aspect. As you lead down the neck, You can see there are some nice black stripes that pick up that run down the course of the neck of the dinosaur, as well as the entire top of the head darkens quite nicely. And you can see that the paintwork up here is really beautifully done, because on top of it being a very nice black coloration, there's a nice light brown that's been dry brushed over top of the black that brings out all of the feather detail in really, really nice fashion. I love the way they've done that. And then you can also see an alternate variation of brown that runs down right underneath the black area of the dinosaur, and we lead down that nice long therizinosaur neck all the way down into the body. And once we reach the body, you can see some beautiful black speckles and kind of like stripes, very, very bird-like as far as that paintwork goes. And you can also see again that nice brown that continues to run down, as well as the black, and it's all beautifully dry brushed, bringing out each and every ounce of detail here in a very, very nice and very realistic fashion on the back of the dinosaur. You can sort of pick up on the shoulder blade a little bit right there, and also see the underside is really, really nicely painted with a nice light coloration, and the transition between all of the colors right there, especially from the brown into that lighter coloration. Look how smooth that transition is. Very realistic transition as far as that paintwork goes. And then leading down here into the arm, you can see that again we have some more of a design here with the black and a little bit of that lighter creamy color that you see up here on the face, like that tan coloration here off of the feathers here on the arm, as well as some of those black speckles that run the course of the arm down here into the hands. And then you run down here into the fingers and look at those nails. Those nails look great, and they genuinely look sharp, which is one thing that I love straight away about this figure, because anytime I can get a figure that shows realism like that, I am super, super happy. And again, the nails actually look sharp, so they did not skimp out as far as the realism goes at all on the figure, and the nails are awesome. Even the underside here is really beautifully done. Look, you can see like some almost like some pinkish coloration shining through here, which is a very realistic appearance, I think, because a lot of the time when you have animals like this and you kind of see on the underside where it's like a really thin layer of feathers and you can actually get to the skin is kind of like a pinkish coloration, and look at how really realistically that is applied to this dinosaur. That is absolutely gorgeous. I really love that aspect of the figure. Such a realistic idea and so beautifully applied. That actually makes me like the figure even more now, showing the underside here and seeing that kind of like pinkish coloration. That is just a really nice, very realistic aspect, I think, for the figure. You can also take note to the magnet right here that will help our figure stand on the base right there. But again, the detailing here on the underside looks great. Pretty chunky looking animal as well, which I think is a very nice touch also. Coming back up into the stomach region, you can see that the actual texturing in the stomach looks fantastic also. Really nice tones of brown used throughout the figure as well. You can see darker tones of brown showing up and then lighter tones of brown and almost like yellowish browns in certain areas as well. Lots of paint application is included on the figure. Very nicely painted overall, and you can see a beautiful dry brushing again up here on the top that ends right here as that black tapers off. It comes to a nice point right there, and then the rest of the tail is just the brown, but the actual painting here as far as that brown goes is really beautifully done. Absolutely massive thigh here on the dinosaur like you would expect to see. Beautiful calf muscle. Once we get down here, you can see again the calf muscle is displayed really nicely right there. Coming down into the foot sculpt, that foot sculpt is beautiful. Absolutely incredible work here as far as this sculpt goes. This thing is just insanely nice. You have the really nice dew claw back here. The nails appear to be painted really beautifully overall. This figure is just unbelievable. I am so psyched about this. You can kind of see how the skin is stretching off of the body right there with this leg pulling forward as the dinosaur is walking along. And then we lead out the length of the tail. You can see kind of like scruffier feathers up here, and then it gets to a really nice fine feathering here on the underside. As we lead out the length of the tail, you can see a beautiful, very realistic and natural curve to the tail. We get a little bit of scruffy feathers here kind of at the end of the tail, just a little hint of some scruffy feathering, which is again a really cool touch. You can see that beautiful curve in the tail from that angle right there. But over here you can again see the very nice long neck of the dinosaur. Really nice majestic looking curve in the neck as well. Once we lead down here into the body, you can again pick up on the shoulder blade a little bit right there. Very different posture for the arm on this side as the arm is bent. Over here it's a little bit more straight, and on this side there's a good bit of a bend to the arm, and you can again see how nicely painted that is. Really nice design here on the feathers of the arm, and I love that. It really gives it, again, a flashy look, I think, overall, and at the same time an extremely realistic look. The actual paint application and the paint scheme they've gone with is 1000% something I could definitely see a species of dinosaur like this having. And again, one thing that I can commend Vitae for is continuously choosing perfect color schemes that look nice and natural on their figures, and it's really, really nicely done on this figure. Coming into the stomach region, again, you can see lots of really nice texturing. You can kind of see the skin stretching off of the body there as this leg is pulling it back, but you can also see, again, that little bit of that hint of the pink kind of creeping through in certain areas in the stomach region, which, once again, I want to state how much I absolutely love that being included. It's just a really nice, very realistic tone of color, I think, to be included on the figure. And again, the transition between those colors as that white leads up into the brown is super, super smooth, really nicely done overall. You can again pick up on the hip bone over here a little bit. Nice thigh sculpt, beautiful calf muscle. As we lead down the leg, you can see that foot sculpt over here is insanely well done, really, really nice looking in every way. Beautifully painted nails, extremely bird-like looking. Foot sculpt, you have the dew claw again, and even the claws on the feet genuinely look like they are sharp, so the realism of this figure is honestly off the charts. And then leading back here into the tail, again, you have that very nice feather detail as we lead back into the tail. Everything just looks as top-notch as you're probably ever going to find. Beautiful paintwork on the tail as well, with quite a few different variations of brown as we lead out to that really nice tip. And the underside is also extremely highly detailed. And man, I'm just 1000% in love with this figure. Vitae, on top of making a comeback, has decided to make probably one of the greatest comebacks ever, if you ask me, because this figure is insanely nice. And then we have the base, which I was just talking about previously. First of all, you can see the area where the magnet is just briefly right there. It almost looks like it's actually part of the rock. They've done such a good job of hiding it, but at the same time, at least letting you know where the dinosaur should place its foot so it can stand on the base. So that is a really nice touch on the part of Vitae, because they don't just have like a magnet being nice and bright and shiny sticking out. They actually hide the magnet within, but at the same time, they allow you to see it. So a really cool touch on the part of Vitae, making sure that your base, even without the dinosaur on it, still looks fantastic. But as far as the sculpting of the base goes, this might be the nicest dinosaur base that I've ever seen, and without question, the nicest base that I've seen on a figure of this style. This is insanely well done. The sculpt is gorgeous. So much really nice detailing within the earthy area here of the base that it is just mind-blowing how nice this is. Really nice earthy area overall. You have some nice vegetation here on the base, and I like that the vegetation looks quite realistic overall. It doesn't look like any kind of like a fake plastic or anything like you'll sometimes find on companies that release bases like this. This actually has a pretty legitimate looking vegetation to it, which I really, really do love. Obviously, it's not plastic, you can see that, but it's nice that they've chosen this as opposed to a plastic for the vegetation, because again, it makes the overall appearance look so much better. And then you can see some vegetation over here, and look at all the nice tones of color included in that vegetation, all extremely realistically well painted. It's beautiful as far as that paintwork goes. So many different variations of lighter and darker greens, just giving off an extremely realistic appearance. And then earlier I was talking about how you can kind of see footprints of other species that have walked through here, and look at that. That is just unbelievable. I love that that is included on there, giving it just, again, a super, super realistic appearance, because that's something you probably would find if you happen to travel back in time to the era that this dinosaur lived, and you happen to stumble upon an area that it may be walking through. You're probably going to see footprints of other species and everything in that area. So I love that that is included, and it's really realistic. They all look actually very bird-like, which is, of course, something you would expect to find. But you can see different species, like you have smaller ones and you have larger ones. It's just unbelievably well done. And again, the actual painting of the earthy area is really beautiful as well. You can see so many different tones of browns. You have like a tannish brown here, darker browns along the edge, and numerous different tones of darker browns included, as well as some beautiful dry brushing that's been applied to bring the detail out really nicely. The base has a nice soft underside as well, making sure it looks about as museum quality as you're probably going to find, but the base is about as impressive as the dinosaur, if you ask me, and it's not often that you see something that impressive overall. So this set as a whole is unbelievable. And continuing to show how incredible this set is overall, the Dinosaur can stand perfectly fine, independent of the base on its own, no issues whatsoever, and you can see that it stands really well. And if I actually shake the table, I'm smacking the table. The Dinosaur isn't going anywhere. It almost looks like it's standing on one foot, honestly, with that foot just starting to leave the ground a little bit, as it's like almost only the toes that are on the ground over here. This foot is planted nice and firmly, so it's a really nice positioning as it's walking along, and extremely sturdy overall. So even more of an awesome touch to this figure, and something that we can 1000% commend Vitae for, is just how good of a job they've done on this set overall. And then once you find the magnet, you just have to put it close, and then it'll just kind of attach itself. And there we go. Our Tiantaiosaurus is now standing on its base quite beautifully. So as far as a size goes, for a length, you are looking at about 8¼ inches, or around 21 centimeters. As far as a height, when it is on the base, you are looking at just under 5 inches, or about 12½ centimeters. And then for the base itself, a length of about 6 inches, or about 15, maybe 15½ centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line. And next to these figures, you can see how beautifully sized the figure is overall. It's not anything super large, but I would definitely say it's like medium-sized, approaching large, and overall, honestly, is a perfect size for the figure. And hopefully you could see that here next to these three figures. Now I'm going to actually compare this in the future with other Vitae figures, as they've re-released a few like the Sinraptor and the Chelantosaurus here in re-releases with new bases, which I am unbelievably excited to take a look at with you guys. But I'm going to bring this figure back in then to give you a comparison with other Vitae figures that you may have, as I don't have any currently here with me aside from these new ones, since most of my stuff unfortunately sits in storage. But as far as this brand new 2020 Vitae Tiantaiosaurus, again, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that, because I am not familiar with the actual pronunciation of the species, but this figure is absolutely beautiful in every way. I could not have asked for a better figure to be released by Vitae for their comeback. This is insanely well done, and dare I say, I actually feel like it might be better than their older figures, which really is saying something about how good Vitae is overall and how much better they're just going to continue to get in the future. This figure is just beautiful. Cannot stress that enough. The sculpt is really nicely done. Very nice detailing throughout the entire figure. Really highly detailed overall. Lots of really nice fine detail included. And the feather detail on the figure as well is really nicely done. I love it. It's like a really nice fine feathering for the most part over top of the animal. It makes it look really beautiful and very majestic. And on top of the very fine detailing of the figure looking majestic, the overall appearance to it just kind of walking along nice and naturally, I feel like is really nice and majestic, as well as you have the beautiful curves in the neck, the beautiful curve in the tail, just generally a nice relaxing position for the body as it appears to be walking along. It doesn't look like it's in any type of a hurry. It also doesn't look like it's alarmed or anything at all. It really just kind of looks like it's walking along nice and calm, maybe looking for some food. And I really like that about the figure. It just presents such a beautiful, peaceful appearance to the entire diorama. And on top of all of that, there's a lot of really nice realism to the figure, especially when you get into the hands and the feet and you take a look at how nice and sharp the nails actually look like they are. Like, it genuinely looks like this animal probably did look in real life. There's no cheapness to the figure at all. It all looks extremely high quality and 100% museum quality, if you ask me. And then you actually get to the paint scheme. The paint scheme is gorgeous, really nice, beautiful tones of brown used all over the figure, and they did not skimp out in that aspect as well. There's lots of variations of browns included. You also have the nice black that runs down the back, but it's been beautifully dry brushed with a nice light brown to bring the details of those feathers out really nicely, and all of it genuinely looks, again, about as realistic as you're probably going to find. The paintwork is just beautiful, just like the dinosaur itself. Then you have the base. The base is next level beautiful as well. The base is easily the most impressive base I've ever seen come with a figure like this, if you ask me. Really nicely painted. There's just a ton of paintwork included, making sure that this base looks as real as it possibly could. It genuinely looks like a piece of earth sitting here in front of me that I just pulled out of the ground and brought in, and then set my dinosaur figure here on top of. And on top of having so many different tones of coloration in the earthy areas, you also have the vegetation in the corner that is unbelievably well painted, as well as the actual vegetation sticking up in certain areas that also looks extremely realistic. Again, sometimes you'll find bases like this that have vegetation on them, but the vegetation is actually like a plastic plant, so it doesn't really look that good. This vegetation is not that at all. This looks extremely realistic, if you ask me, and overall really adds to the base and the overall feel of the set in general. And then the addition of those little footprints kind of walking along here and there, just adding another level of realism to the set overall. And on top of all of that, I love the fact that Vitae has chosen to now add a magnet to the foot when you attach it to the base, because that is really cool as well and just helps the overall stability of the figure. And generally, I love the use of magnets in the feet of dinosaurs to attach to a base. I think that is a great idea and something that hopefully Vitae will continue to use moving forward, because I'm a big fan of that as well. So as a whole, this figure is a 1010% win. So if you would like to pick this up, unfortunately, currently there is nowhere in the United States that's selling these. They are a little tricky to get a hold of, as they are pretty much only released in China. However, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that at some point, sometime soon, one of the United States retailers will pick these up and we'll start to get some of these incredible Vitae figures released here as well, because figures this beautiful deserve to be loved and owned by everyone. So again, keep your eyes out, keep your eyes peeled for these figures to start showing up somewhere within the United States or a seller shipping to the United States, and otherwise make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.